רדיו המצפן הפנימי, תמיד אני מוצא את דרכי.
Hello everybody, welcome. This is going to be something that we try. Can I ask somebody to close this tiny door there? This is going to be something that we're trying for the first time, which is a forum which is also recorded as a radio show for Internal Compass Radio. So whatever we're talking about here will be later edited and posted as, if it's good, will be posted as an episode of the Internal Compass radio and podcast. So you can see the amazing radio team here are working on this. And the way this is going to work is I will lead the discussion with a few questions of mine. Feel free to jump in and answer, maybe, and then we'll take some questions from you guys, the students. So if you have any questions throughout the whole thing, feel free to remember it, and when we ask for it, ask. That's it. I think the general topic of the discussion here is, first of all, getting to know. What I would like to do is getting to know everybody a little bit, if possible. Talking a little bit about Japan and the Japanese creative music and jazz scene and whatever is going on there, about you, about your careers, about your careers as musicians in Japan, and not only, and a little bit about Internal Compass Japan. What is Internal Compass Japan? What can Internal Compass Japan be? If students here want to get involved, what are their ways to get involved with it? If it's just open and exploring ideas, so we are exploring them here together. And hopefully this conversation will lead to something, because every conversation leads to something bigger, right? Okay, so great. So if possible, I would like to start with just a few words about each of the artists sitting here and the Internal Compass faculty. I know the students know you, but it doesn't mean that everybody knows you, so you can also say a few words about yourself. So we'll go from David and we'll continue that way, okay?
באנגלית.
באנגלית וכאילו נכון.
My name is David. I play saxophone and flute, and I also compose music and arrange.
לא, אבל שומעים אותו בהקלטה?
אולי זה נראה טוב, אבל בווידאו שלנו.
צריך לדבר ממש קרוב עליו.
לא, אבל ממש שזה לא עובד.
לא, זה לא עובד.
לא, זה לא עובד, זה להגביל אותך בחדר, אבל זה עובד בשביל ההקלטה.
טוב, בכל מקרה, אתם שומעים אותי, נכון?
לא, זה לא מקליט. זה מקליט? שומעים אותו בהקלטה? סבבה, מעולה.
אז אני אתחיל מההתחלה, נולדתי בתל השומר, סתם. זהו, בגדול, you all know me and move on to the next one.
לא. Because they don't know you.
Yeah, we
but
want
I
to
said,
know
I
you.
play saxophone and flute, I compose. I love music. Music is a huge part of my life, and it's so much, give me so much challenges and joy and frustration and inyan, how do you say, interest, and it's continuous journey that I believe takes me to definitely interesting places and more spiritual and philosophical places. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Hi, my name is Takafumi Kakizaki. I'm a drummer. Also, sometimes composing and play the piano. And so great times. I stayed in Mitzpe. So yeah, very fun time. And もっと喋った方がいいなんか。まあ今はいいかな。Okay, next. Thank you.
אוקיי, אהוד אתון, קונטרבסיסט, ירושלמי במקור, sorry, Ehud Atun, bass player, originally from Jerusalem. Super happy that this discussion is happening, super happy that we have Internal Compass team from Japan, meeting Internal Compass team from Israel, and doing stuff together.
Yeah. Hello guys, shalom. My name is Haruka Yabuno. I'm a pianist from Japan, and I've been playing with Ehud for almost like 13 years or so.
Wow.
Like since like 2010 that we attended the music school in Boston. So like I'm like probably like one of the pianists who play with Ehud the most in this universe maybe. Anyway, so like I started playing music since I was 3 years old. So like, you know, music is like not like only like the part of my life, but like it's like really like life itself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very, very happy. It's such an honor to bring the team Japan. Like, you know, they are like really special musician, and like they are not only like really like the, you know, good at playing their instrument, but also like, you know, really like sharing the, you know, the, how do I say, like connecting like emotionally, and like really like, you know, giving their heart to, you know, create, you know, one music together. So like, you know, I still cannot believe that this is really happening. So like, you know, and like I came here like 3 years ago, and like I saw like, you know, this like school, the Internal Compass music program is like getting like so much like better. Like, you know, every time when I come here, like I'm like always like impressed, like wow, like students are amazing, and like, you know, the program is amazing. So like I'm really happy to be here.
Hello guys, my name is Noriaki Hosoya. Feel free to call me Nori. I guess it's somehow easier for you to remember it. Yeah, so I'm an electric bass player, composer, and I studied in Boston. I also lived in Germany, so ich spreche auch Deutsch, so you know, a little bit of a show off of the language. Actually, music is somehow similar to the language for me. Like this is something like to express myself, you know, to describe, also like describe myself, and also, you know, for me to be creative, and like to really express what I am, like, and also to connect with other people, and then to share the same kind of like musical journey, the musical path, to draw the picture, and then to make like this moment better, and then to make some art. And it's been a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Haruka Yamaguchi. I am guitarist. I play jazz. I play classic guitar and electric guitar. Sorry. One more? No. Oh.
Right.
I like Miss Bella. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kentaro Nakayama. Probably you can call me Ken, but I heard so many Ken here. I don't know which means for, but all the time, huh? It's not me, just kind of interesting time. But anyway, I searched a Google map from here to the Japan, and so far it's long distance, but somehow we are here. And then meet you guys so much, very, very good experience I did already. Spent just a few days, but already amazing. And then, you know, from today, we can do some new stuff. Nobody here played together, right? And then Japanese, the Israeli, the student faculty, what's to say. And it's a great moment that will come. So I can't wait to hear right now. Anyway, they are talk already, so I'm just so happy now. Thank you very much.
Yes. Hello, my name is Amir Barkiva. I play drums, a little bit piano, and I compose music. Yeah, good to have you here. A pleasure, and really exciting to to hear your experiences from music scene in Japan and your culture and the music and how do you interact with music. I mean, and what it is to be in Japan and to I don't know, play jazz. It's interesting for me to know. Yeah, really love music. I do it most of my time. I'm all immersed in that. And yeah, that gives me life and energy, motivation to move forward, always to learn, work hard, practice. Yeah, basically that's it.
Okay, my name's Jackie. Hi, everyone. And I'm a cellist. And I like to do lots of crossover between music and other worlds of dance, other things, lots of stuff, things that are cross-genre. And I've been working with Eud and Brianna since, I guess, since this whole thing was born into reality. And I've watched the whole thing and been a part of its growth over the last several years, and I've seen Haruka every time she came. And it's just really exciting that you guys are here. I think a lot of times Eud will have an idea, hey, let's do a thing, you know, and it's pretty amazing to see how this thing just suddenly becomes a reality. Oh, there's so many ideas that could potentially happen, and so many of them actually do. And you know, even a few months ago, it was oh yeah, Internal Compass Japan is a thing, and you're coming, you know. And I think it's really super exciting that you're here, and yeah, so thank you.
Cool. I would like to start with asking you guys, guests from Japan, to tell us, if you can, a little bit about the music scene in Japan, and particularly the more creative and jazz and kind of music scene of musicians in Japan. If you can tell us a little bit from your experience, and you know, if you have been abroad, you can also tell us what it is compared to other stuff that you have seen, but generally just to hear from you about it.
What do you guys think?
The music scene in Japan?
Yeah.
Very distinctive. I think it's very distinctive. There's what I've experienced so far. Is there's almost no crossover between the genre. If you stay, even in jazz, if you play the jazz standard, if you play you know, from the very good kind of stuff, you stay, you know, that kind of stuff. If you be creative like us, then you do our own stuff. You know, we're gonna make our own band, and then you kind of stuck with it. So it's so it's how far did I talk? Yeah. So it's very it's a very narrow in a way, you know.
Kind of, yeah.
Narrow in jazz or in general?
In general. Okay. In general.
Which means once you do something, this will be the thing you do?
Exactly. Yeah. And nobody else would think, let's say if you can play also pop music or funk music, well, but nobody calls you for the gig for the funk music because you're playing the standard jazz. So it's very close-minded in a way.
Because people categorize you.
Exactly.
In a category.
Yeah, in English we say to specialize in something. So you specialize in that, and then you get stuck in that. You're labeled as that thing.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, Japanese people do tend to label.
I mean, this is not really the negative thing always. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So when they are decide so this is the way to go, you know. Come on. So like when the people decided like, okay, this is like the way to go, like, you know, Japanese people can actually do like, you know, really like, you know, aiming on like the really small, like, you know, spot, like, you know. Probably this is the reason why, like, you know, when like Japanese people are like, you know, really crazy about like learning jazz, like, you know, they are like, you know, only jazz, like other music is shit, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Be careful, it's recorded.
Yep. So like they can do like they can do like.
Let me talk. Yeah, and then not only the musician. I just want to tell something. And then not only the musician, the audience, the people come to listen to music. That people also want to listen like LP stuff, like the modern jazz scene, 1970, 60, around that. They are a lot of huge fan, so they want to listen the kind of music at the live show. Then they love it. Then the musician will think that music and the style of this almost to me almost like a copy to some music.
Somebody can.
This is not you. Just comes from somewhere, but already exists.
Yes.
But the player is like a machine, and then play some music, almost same thing, and then they are so happy. This is which is a good moment, and then one of the music world I can tell. But on the other hand, we will learn so many things, right? Make some effort to play something new, or just describe your own self, or talk to with someone which never met, and the first time we met together, like this, like a festival, and then do something fresh. But you know, I came back to Japan like 2014, I guess. I was staying in New York and Boston and New York City like 9 years or something like this, and then I went back to Japan, and I started to play the Japanese player together. I felt some weird because they have so much good technique, which is so very good, but I cannot play with them well. I have no idea.
Not really like open-minded in terms of like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I was asking to the bass player, what kind of drummer you like? And he said, sounds like Eric Holland. Sounds like the Chris Dave. It's easy to recognize the play style, and it should be going on. They can like imagine, and then play together. It's easy to have just one show. Then I was shocked. That's not me, right? But this is just a very specific situation. But the country has their own music style, and then they have history. I have no idea about it here, but in Japan, there are so many big name artists there already, and then they have their own world. And then, like us, we went abroad to have some new stuff, discover something, and went back to Japan. This is completely different like area. We cannot mix them together. It's so hard. This is kind of Japanese music scene, right? Unfortunately. But at the time, I got the kind of experience and the chance. So this is the time to have our own style, own music, or network together. Probably this kind of Japanese and Israeli play together. The kind of thing is never happened in Japan, I guess.
No, never.
You know, there are so many great musicians. I met in New York City, you know, Abhishek Cohen and Aaron Goldberg. They are so great, but they won't play us together. No, right? But this is not everything. We can play together, and we can make some great music, and we will do something very, very big party every day, every year. Probably somehow that outside of those kind of people will watch us. And then what's going to happen now? This one is the Internet Compass. And then maybe we can get attention from them. and it's getting easy to move.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
Mm-hmm.
right?
What do you think?
Okay. Very similar to Kentaro because I was in my home, so local town, north of Japan, Iwate. I was 25 years old. Now I'm 35 years old. And so hard to study jazz and went to Tokyo. First time there are already community is there, so a little bit so many times get negative. Maybe you know, studying jazz style is so many times meet so negative thing, you know. For example, only bebop style. You play bebop style, or if I create something experience like now my project is jazz and classical music, and so my Japanese so traditional style is a crossover project I have. But so many musicians said to me, why do you make the project? You must play more about jazz and also bebop style and practice more. But so maybe I think decide. So I decide about me, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So practice or not practice, it's me. Yeah, I can. It's better, I think. So about internal compass, there are students and also there are teachers. So what should I do? I'm teacher, maybe this place, but also I'm musician and also sometimes I'm a student.
Mm-hmm.
So most important thing is so deeply communication, I think. So and so suggest so many so chance of so challenge. So I think it's better. So you guys, so students come to Japan, and so sometimes coordinate. And of course, the teachers is a professional musician, so play with Zera, and so more also making something so big chance for grow up, you know. So I want to do that, and so I'm thinking now. You know? Okay.
Great. I think if it would be nice if you guys, the internal compass faculty guys, if you can talk a little bit about the music scene in Israel, just from what you know, from what you experienced, different, similar to what you heard, just because some of them, yeah.
Yes.
So say from your experience, you know.
Okay, from my experience, I think, like you said, I mean, the music scene in Israel, it's also very eclectic in a way. It has lots of, influences from all over the world, because, Israel.
Which is great.
Which is great, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And we also have this kind of thing that here people, study jazz and they're very good at it. We have a scene, lots of musicians that they live mainly in Tel Aviv, in this area. We have this place, like a small place called, Bet Amudim. There they present, but again, in like identifying a little bit with what you said, because sometimes there are people that they play like only, like one style, but that's their style, and they're very good at it, and they don't really like or want, or I don't know if it's kind of they don't do other shit, like that's what they. That's their style, like to play now bebop, in this club, and they like to do it like every night, and they go for it, and they play amazing. But so we have also this scene. Israel is very, like there are lots of scenes, For example, I play also with the Ethiopian singer and saxophone player.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is a good friend of David as well, and they've been playing for years together. But now I play in his band, and I play in some other flute player trio, just bass, drums, and flute, and I think it's very diverse. Like the music here, it's like we learn really good as well. We know how to get into jazz, but I mean, some musicians, if you love something else, you should go for it, and then bring somehow the jazz into it if you would like. You know, some people they study lots of music and they're going for one thing. You know, so I guess maybe it's a little bit like in Japan that you said that some musicians they only play like kind of one thing, right? And then people categorize them, and other people don't call them to certain gigs, right? Because they think they cannot play it, because mostly their gigs, it's like maybe bebop or not modern. But I would say here for me, is the same. I mean, in some scenes, people see you as like, okay, this guy can't swing, you know, but it can be bullshit, you know, it can be just like in some people's head, and depends also like kind of what swing, what style. I mean, it's beautiful that we have so much of it, but then it creates this kind of, oh, I don't know if he's playing this thing, this style, more than this style, you know, and how to kind of, the approach to the music is like, I don't know, we have many, you know, many scenes, and I love it, but it's a matter if you find yourself in those scenes or not. You know what I mean?
Maybe I'll just add, because I found it interesting what Ken said about the kind of what the audience is looking for, and I find Israel's kind of an interesting place for that. That I'm also an outsider. Like, I didn't grow up in Israel. I moved here 12 years ago, and what I found, like what Amir said, is among the musicians, there are the people that are very focused on their thing. There's obviously a lot of people who kind of do a mishmash of everything. And sometimes that can also get to the point where I personally know, maybe it's because I'm a string player, I know a lot of musicians that can kind of fake their way through a lot of styles, but they're not really doing anything like what you said, that they can kind of just, they can play in this gig and in that gig and everything, which is also a great skill. I find that perhaps something that I don't know if this is why, but Israel is mixed of lots of different cultures of people who also identify as Israeli. So I feel like in those different cultures, there's a bit of a longing to also hear or remember the traditional music of where their history comes from, but not a necessity that it be actually specifically traditional. Like, I know a lot of very successful ensembles in Israel right now are doing this kind of ethnic fusion-y type thing that's specific to a type of ethnicity, you know, like you'll hear like Moroccan music that's like not really Moroccan music. It's like there's a Moroccan groove and then a whole bunch of other things. And a lot of the like Moroccan community or second generation or whatever like love it. And it's like that's what they want. They just want that little taste of something, but it's not actually authentic. It is, it's new, but it's a bit of a mishmash. And I do find that it creates for an interesting audience. Like, I mean, there's the pop scene here that is insane in terms of the amount of money that pop musicians get. There's like a huge following. A lot of times it'll be this kind of mixed ethnic pop. And for things that are genuinely like innovative or new completely, that are coming, not hanging on to another tradition, I sometimes don't know how much support there is sometimes there is from the audience, and definitely in terms of like budget support from like the government or grants or things like that, that you can, sometimes it can be a little bit challenging. Anyway, that's just been my experience to see this kind of interesting, when your audience is so mixed but still has strong roots and a desire to hear certain things. That might be a little bit more outside of the specifically jazz world that I've experienced that. But also in the jazz world, there is this kind of crossover and leaning towards colors of other types of music.
Interesting. Actually, like, so like, there is like this kind of people like who is like choosing like one music and like really like trying to be like the really good at it, and like another people who is like kind of like the multitasking in music, like doing engineering and also like composer, also arranger, and also like playing a couple of like doubling instrument and everything. But like so like one of my friend in Japan told me like, hey Haruka, this is like really interesting, like when I was in the US, like it was really okay to be like the doubling all these major, like sometimes I'm like the engineer, sometimes I'm drummer, sometimes like I'm the singer, whatever.
Yeah.
But like after he came back to Japan, it feels like we have to be like really like good at like every freaking thing that he's doing. So like I think this is kind of coming from this like Japanese mentality that like if you are like aiming for like one thing, like you need to be like really good at it.
Yeah.
So like if you cannot be like the master of this thing, like you cannot really do like the other stuff.
Exactly. And you should go for it. Like you should have it.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't try to do some other things if you still haven't like mastered your own instrument, whatever it is, like
exactly.
instrument or it's whatever.
I feel like Israeli culture leans towards the American side and goes past it. Do you guys agree? I mean, I don't know. That's how I feel. I feel like there's people who do everything here and will call themselves this and call themselves that when they don't. That's my experience. I don't know if you agree with that.
Like personally, I really like it. Like so like yesterday, like I went to the students' big band rehearsal, and like I saw like one of the violin player was like playing the trumpet and everything. I was like, wow, serious,
Ma, how many
this
of you have a
is
second
crazy.
instrument? Yeah.
Wow.
See?
Yeah,
For example, like this,
See?
it's not gonna happen in Japan.
Yeah.
Like, you stuck in one thing.
Yeah.
You stuck in like one level, and then that's
I
it.
feel like here there's a space
Like you
for
should
it.
get good at it.
Really?
You should be the best at it.
Exactly.
Yeah, seriously, like I cannot imagine like Japanese violin player, even like the professional musician, playing trumpet.
Yeah.
This is like a really beautiful thing.
Yeah.
David?
Well, my take on the Israeli scene, I think when you first talked, I was thinking, it's the same here. There are like all kinds of sects, like groups. And but then I was thinking a little bit more, and I thought, wow, the jazz scene in Israel is amazing. Amazing musicians, so many, and because there are so many amazing musicians, it kind of pushes them to find their own voice, their unique voice, and also like the famous Israeli musicians, they don't play straight ahead. They play their music. They play their own,
Really
very, very distinct.
And they can also be good at straight ahead if they want.
They are amazing at straight ahead.
Exactly.
They are amazing at straight ahead. Like they mastered it and they moved on.
Exactly.
And I think the Israeli audience, they don't like bullshit. They feel if you bring the merchandise, they say thank you. If you don't, they say. They don't. But it's like I think our culture is honest culture. People say in your face what they feel and think.
Yeah.
And maybe for the art is a good thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Talking about the honesty, seriously, if Japanese people say yes, I mean we only say yes basically, but like we have.
This is really huge.
But we have.
That's your habit of like of polite.
Exactly. Like we have yes and okay. Listen, we have yes, or we have. Yes.
Annoying actually so much.
Our culture and our mentality is so opposite, from what you have here in Israel.
Yeah.
It also kind of like reflects to the music as well. And I also would like to ask you about the Israeli music scene, because the Japanese musicians, the music scene in Japan, like no matter if it's a jazz or pop music or whatever, you tend to stay inside of the box. You tend to like do what you feel comfortable with. and like not going anywhere else, and you tend to stay. But what about the Israeli music scene? Like you know, how you approach, or like would you approach like to go to the outside of the box? And if you do, like how you approach?
I would say that. I would say, just in my opinion, there has been like. It seems like we painted the picture like there is these two extremes here, and I'm pretty sure like there is also a lot middle.
Yeah.
And the truth is not like here or here also, but both are okay. But I think also you will find people in Israel who are super like on point, and you'll probably even find some people in Japan who are like more open and do more things. So
sure.
I think, you know, it's our job to kind of see the benefit. But of course there is a mentality thing, like, and for sure it sees, you know, like I'm giving a student in Israel 4 bars to learn, and they would ask where is their solo, and they can improvise it, and they would change the 4 bars before they know it already, and will make a better version and come to me next week and say, hey, I made a better version of these 4 bars, here you can have it, you know? Whereas, like, you know, maybe in Japan they just go and learn these 4 bars and come back with the 4 bars. Now, which one is better? I don't know, because like there is a lot of you know, skills in learning it, and just like learning the 4 bars, and there is a lot of creativity in changing it. And like I think we all have to be aware of what our natural tendencies or cultural tendencies are, and maybe balance it out. But I don't think that absolute truth is like one is better than the other.
We won't make. We don't like to make. I mean, in Japanese, doesn't like to make like a fail situation. And then you know, jazz or the other music comes from the outside of Japan, or I mean, in Japan as well, but jazz especially, comes from the United States. We don't know how to play it, first of all. And then learning jazz is using textbook, learning jazz is listening to music, which is the answer for us, first of all. Then you said the 4 bars, which is good, but maybe many people realize this artist thing is correct, I think, but they don't want to make a mistake to the other player. And then that guy said behind him, oh, the guys play something, but this is not like this shit. It should be more, this note should be there, or using tension is here. It's very, very specific things they're talking behind the kind of player. They don't want to hear. That's why safe spot, easy way is the correct way, they will choose naturally, which is sad.
They won't get out of their box.
Right.
This is actually, I think this is the enemy of creativity.
That's true.
Which is I hate, but I heard many things.
If you want to be creative, you gotta fail. You gotta fail. You gotta make mistakes. You gotta.
Exactly.
Yeah, in my opinion.
Probably this is like one of the reasons why the kind of like the old school, like the bebop style is like still very popular in Japanese music scene too. Because like, you know, there's like one like, you know, right answer, which is like the Charlie Parker or Miles Davis, or like, you know, so like people are thinking like, you know, this is like the best answer, you know, as a jazz musician. So like, you know, their goal is just like, to be authentic. You know what I'm saying? So like, not like creating something new, or like, you know, just like asking yourself, or like, you know, like your inner self to, you know, say like, you know, so what do you think?
Japanese people like video game, so like very
yeah,
like Tetris, you know. Okay. Oh, come on. Oh, okay. And then so, oh, dominant. Oh, okay. Okay. Like.
Yeah, I really like video games.
It's easy to understand.
Guys, I wanna take the conversation one step ahead, one step forward maybe, or back, depends how you look at it. So when I started Internal Compass, part of like the idea that I had was that you know, taking everything that was said here about like the importance of failing and the importance of maybe like not knowing everything before you do it. So I had this idea that when you go on stage with a band, the best situation is that you don't know everything. But you know that you can really trust the people that are with you, and you know that, you know, there is going to be interesting things happening because you really trust the people, you really trust yourself, you prepared for this, they prepared for this, and therefore something good will happen, hopefully, right? And this is, I'm talking completely musical, you know, like a bassist will play C instead of D, but that's fine because the piano player can hear it and do something with it, and like, no problem, something cool will happen. And then I started like expanding this idea further than music a little bit to life, you know? You are going and you're playing with 3 people on stage and like electricity is going out. And like, what now? But if you trust the people and you trust the musicians, then like, of course, something good will happen, okay? And slowly expanding this idea more, and like, and for me there is like no, I think there is no goal, and there is no answers.
Right.
There is mostly questions and people, and the idea is that like if the people are good and the people are interesting and you trust the people and the people is a group of people that can do something together, so the rest is kind of just ideas, right? And one idea is like, okay, let's do something in Mitzpe Ramon. And one idea is like, okay, let's record an album. And one idea is, you know, so just you know, Haruka is one of my dear friends and musicians that I love to play with and like persons that I really trust. So when Haruka came and said like, listen, I have a team in Japan that they're like internal compost material, there was no question. Like, let's do this, you know? And I'm so happy that you guys came, and I really want to like, there is obviously only questions here. But like, if you think about this thing, internal compass, Japan, like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking about? What things do you think are like going to be interesting to get touch with?
To touch with you guys as to the Israel or in general?
Topics, general. I mean, what things do you think are interesting to be in, like, kind of to deal with or to do? I don't know.
Okay, it's for me it's a community. Like it's you know, it's a big community. Like it's also the mates, also community like with student and also like as a musician, but also also as a people, also as an individual, 2 individuals, which makes a community in the end. But but it's like Internal Compass Japan, like Team Japan is something that I mean, it's also the same what you said, like, these are the people like I can completely trust 100%, like on and off the stage, and then we share the same kind of like vision, we share the same kind of like musical path, like, we are on the same page of like, in terms of the creativity. And then, when we are here, because we have opportunity to talk to you guys also as individuals, and then we get inspired. And hopefully, like one day you come to Japan, and then like you're gonna have some more impressions of like what the Japanese people are doing, what the Japanese society is doing, like what's it's completely different situation, but maybe like we can inspire each other. Also, like being here as a Japanese, or like you come to Japan and then you find like what you see, and then for me like creativity is coming from like those kind of impressions, or like also like expressions as well. So it's a base of people. It's a base of people like you can communicate with, and then you can always like talk to us even like we are far away. Like luckily we have an internet nowadays days, so like we can always connect and get in touch and create some good stuff together.
I think Yamaguchi prepare.
Gucci had something to say.
多分今のトピックがちょうどいい。
You need help?
I'm not good English. Can I?
Yeah.
No
He wrote something like he wanted
Yeah,
to say.
he's
This morning we wake up early and also practiced.
Internal compass is place for education through effortless experience. When you make good music, it is also important to educate not only musicians but also audience and grow up together. I have my own band in Japan, and I also discuss about this with my bass player. He also has his own venue in his local town and making workshop and communicate with the people around. I think this is similar to what Efudo is doing. When Efudo comes to Japan next time, I would love to introduce him to Efudo and they can work together to make something interesting for music education.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So like you're going to have like another small internal compass place.
I mean, my job now is, our job now is to create as much exchange as possible of like internal compass people, students.
But you know, once I learn United States, then I saw many students in Japan as well. They try to get something new. I said this is the opposite, but we should survive, right? So we gotta make money. Then we can keep going forever. So except the earning money or making money, we cannot do any more. And then I've never learned the kind of stuff in school. This is a huge problem, I think. You know, once you get, and I don't know, the high school, junior high school you have, there are no, they never explain the tax return. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is weird. How to survive?
Yeah.
This is one of the most important things.
Yeah.
That's why in this the experience we have, and then between the Japan and Israel, we will start something really new, and then, you know, once we get something new project, and then probably someone will find us. Until that time, we need to survive together.
Yeah.
I don't want to ask to some making network to ask to Berkeley. It is okay, but this is not that our purpose, I think. And I think that Herbie Hancock will come if we ask and the money a lot, but it doesn't matter, I think. You guys have already the great teacher, and then we will try to be. And something new way we will have to make it. And then some own stuff we will make. And then in the future, I think you can do some new now is school, I think. Maybe. And then we have to make the place for a student to keep surviving or playing together, all the kind of things I'm thinking about all the time.
Yeah. We are thinking about it all the time too.
Yeah.
We just created this term we call it the ecosystem, which is like what happens after you finish school, you know?
Right,
there has to be stuff to do, like orchestra, bands, jazz clubs, more jazz clubs, you know? Like we have to create these things. They're not going to be
huge name is that not only the answer. We have so many answers.
Yeah.
Right?
Can I add something? I wonder, like, it almost feels like, it's just, I thought of it now when you were talking, that it almost feels like, yes, it's creating something new, but it's kind of actually going back to something that's less separated. You know, if you think about, I mean, all of us weren't alive 100 years ago or whatever, but we didn't live in such a separated society in which, you know, the fact that creating a community of people that you trust and you musically trust and you personally trust, and that's like your vision, is somehow like innovative, is kind of insane. You know, because that's how reality was at some point, is that you had your community, and that was, you know, we are social creatures by nature. And I think definitely your generation, but also ours, really went into this world of kind of being quite separate from one another. And also separate from the basic reality that you have to survive. And like, it's so obvious, and it shouldn't be like innovative that like a musician in his 20s is suddenly like, oh, how am I gonna pay my bills? It's like, this really should be something that is like inside of us, and we know that there's a world out there that you have to survive in and not be like coddled in or somehow sheltered from. And maybe now, as you were all speaking, I do feel like there's something interesting going on in what we're doing here, that a community has been created of trust and aligned beliefs in the same things musically, you know? And also with that open-mindedness that, okay, even if you want to be like the best player ever, you're not going to get anywhere if you are only doing that by yourself in your room and have a few friends you can play with, but you're waiting for someone to call you for the gig. That never is going to happen. So I wonder if this kind of like new way, new community, all the things that you're talking about, in some ways it's kind of just like being aware of reality as it is, and it's kind of almost old school in some ways, you know?
But being innovative, like you have to.
Of course, yeah.
You have to have it. You have to know that that the world outside is hard. It's hard to make living as a musician in general.
But this is the world too.
Exactly.
We are in the world right now.
That's true. Exactly. You know?
Maybe I could say
it's important to say it.
It's like not being a victim of the situation. It's like being aware of it and being a part of it, and approaching it with responsibility and accountability, and saying, yes, I choose to go. Okay, I'm choosing to be a musician in this world, and it comes with all these things that I'm going to have to deal with, and that's my choice, and I'm not, you know, miskena or whatever, you know, because, oh, it's so difficult, and what am I going to do? It's kind of part of making that choice, and it can be empowering, even though it's hard, but if you know that you chose it, then you come with a lot of power towards it, you know, musically and not musically, obviously.
I'll say that, like, for my experience, at some point it was very obvious to me that if we are going to do something that's more than playing gigs, then I have to take responsibility for this idea that shit needs to happen.
Yeah.
And when I start taking responsibility, I very quickly understood that I will not be able to say this part is a part that I will not do.
Yeah.
You know? Sometimes it's cleaning here, sometimes it's moving chairs, sometimes it's sitting in front of Excel, sometimes it's calling the office of the President of Israel, and sometimes it is running down to the streets of the Moatza or taking care of the fire alarm in the jazz club, you know? It's like all things that, like, you know, once you take responsibility, this comes with like this beautiful box of stuff, right? But the other thing that I found out was there are very few musicians who are willing to do it.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yep.
And I think that the current time, I think I think that because there are very few musicians that are willing to do it, many musicians have this image that musician means somebody who not necessarily take care of their shit.
Yeah.
Amen.
And it means that musician is somebody who like doesn't know how to take care of his life and how to take care of himself. And we have plenty of great examples for this kind of musicians, you know, and it's great. But I think that we have to remember that just like any other group in this country or in the world, when we put our energy together to take care of the stuff that are important to us, then the results are eventually coming.
Yeah.
And actually, this part has been easier, surprisingly much easier than what I thought. So here we are standing in the 7th year of Jazz on the Edge Festival that, like, you know, when I started, I was sure was not going to hold for 3 years, was not going to hold for 1 year. And here we have 7 years later, and after 7 years, I can tell you that, like, I am a little bit more sure that there will also be Jazz on the Edge 2030.
Yeah.
And like it's not because, you know, it's because there is this thing that like is called the fundamentals, you know. The fundamentals are that like we are here and you are here and we are playing music. And as long as this part stays, the rest is actually fairly easy to do.
Becomes minor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this minor thing can take your whole life, you know, if you're not careful. But of course, but it's minor, and it's like at least suppose in the idea, supposed to serve this thing, this moment that we are making music. So also I think it's. I mean, this is also my message to you guys, because I think that, like, you know, you're going back to Japan, thinking like, oh, Japan, you know, you might be surprised. I don't know. And also to students, we have so many, like, we had so many throughout the years, incredible initiatives of students who like woke up in the morning and said like, I'm gonna write a big band arrangement, and sat down and wrote a big band arrangement, or said like, I'm gonna do a festival, and sat down and made a festival, or said like, I'm gonna be, you know, in charge of the jazz club, and took charge of the jazz club. Like, there is million ways to do great things, and you just have to like wake up, decide, and stay the course for like doing what it takes, even if it means like cleaning the bathroom, or you know, doing something that you really didn't think was gonna be your dream job. But at this point, I would like to take questions from students, if anybody has. Merav. Microphone.
Wow, nice guys. Look at that.
Radio. They decided to start a radio station.
You talked about the differences between the Israeli and Japanese culture. I think that many friends of mine, that I haven't been in Japan, but a lot of friends of mine were in Japan, and they admire your culture exactly because of the things that you said. To do something for so long and to be so sharp, you know, and and don't confuse. We are in Israel. We're all the time confused what we want to do in our lives. All this kind of thing. The Japanese, they know since 3 years old what they want to do, and they are very sharp and very direct. And many people in Israel admire the Japanese culture. You need to know also these things. Well, that's what I wanted to say. It's not a question.
You want to say something?
Yeah. You want to say? Okay. I think, like, you know, so like we are like, you know, playing together like, you know, more than 10 years, and we are like fighting so much, you know, in these 10 years, because like, you know, it's not just because like, you know, I don't know, like, you know, Ehud has like this, you know, way of thinking that like, you know, okay, we have to do that, like, you know, he got like the idea like in a second, and like, you know, he tried. No fear. Seriously, no fear. And like I'm like always like thinking about like the worst case situation happening, like what if super being careful and like really like preparing like every single like freaking stuff like in advance. But like we are learning so much, and like somehow like the result is like coming together. You know what I'm saying? Like musically, like probably like Japanese people are like really good at like aiming for this spot, but like sometimes it takes like a little bit of tense on your body and like on the mentality too, to think that like aiming this thing is like really difficult thing. You know what I'm saying? But like Israeli people are like let's try. Fail. Another fail. Try. Oh, I got it. You know what I'm saying? It's like really like relaxing in like the mental, and like it's like really like the pure and like the, how do I say? It's like really like innocent, like the interest, and just like give it a try, like which Japanese people really needs to know, include us. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. But so I think so. Each is better. So every mentality have possibility. So if you are so sensitive, so maybe you can make something so sensitive music.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's so beautiful style and so blah blah. And so if you are strong, so maybe so powerful music you can make it. So I think both is okay. That's all.
Yeah. Questions? Students?
Yeah, like Elias.
I have a question regarding, I have thoughts regarding music as a language and how you teach a language, how children learn languages and how adults learn languages. Because I feel like I'm new to speaking flute language, for example. And I think other people here also have this experience of learning an instrument maybe deeply for the first time. And I feel like in my experience in this school, there's a very, like, I don't know what it is, but there is something mutual to all the teachers and the classes that have this kind of idea of how you teach a language and how to do it without creating tension. So I wanted to ask you your thoughts about this, and yeah, just an open thought.
About like teaching music as a language, what your thoughts are, like how?
Well, of course, I told you I'm playing like lots of, even like, I also play like jazz and I also play funk, but like it's a two different kind of style. It's like, for me to speak Japanese and switch to English, it's, but like you're still using the same instrument. When I play bass and play jazz, I'm playing the, phrase of the jazz, I'm playing the, style of the jazz, but using also my voice. When I play like funk music, I play my own instrument, and I'm the one who's playing the instrument, but the difference is I'm using the style of the funk music instead of jazz music. If it makes sense, then when it comes to the music, especially like you start playing something new instrument, so you still have to know like how you can use your instrument, how like you can make the most out of it. It's like learning some words or like learning some sentences. Like for us, like I think it's for all of us. We kind of like pick up the words like shalom, makore, sababa, ken, yala. Stuff like this. Stuff like this. So, we are slowly but surely getting there. And like once you feel comfortable with it, like you can kind of like expand like what you can say towards what you want to say. Then maybe you can make longer sentences. Like you can also like make some like discussion, like deep thought about how the Earth's gonna be like in 2,000 years from now or something like this, like very some deep topics. But you still have to learn like some kind of the things like you need to learn. But then like you also have to know yourself what you really like, what you really want to say with your instrument. If it's no matter if it's jazz or no matter if it's like pop music or classical music. So once you learn the basics, I think the rest would come with you.
I will add something, because I think that this thing that you're saying is one of the things that I think about a lot. And funny enough, I really like when I met Haruka, I met the very first person who I felt like music as a language was the main thing that we share together. Like there are very few people in the world that like I will sing a melody and they know immediately what I mean, and like they know the notes and they understand. And funny enough, the first time we played, we couldn't speak English together. So it was really like just music that connected us. And like we would meet to play, and after playing, we would go get coffee and like awkward silence because we can't speak, But I think that like Haruka is this person that like when we have duo gigs and we have to learn a new piece of music, we will not rehearse it. We will like sing it on the way to the gig to make sure that we have the melody and the bass and switch and take solos singing and switch again and make sure in this way like, okay, we know the tune and play it in the concert. But like we don't play it before. And this happened like a lot when we have to learn new music and stuff like that. It's like, okay, we sing it. And like if we sing it, it's okay because we really think of it as a language and like understanding the language first. And one of the interesting things is that like, for me, it was really hard to do. I started late. I worked like crazy on ear training. It didn't come easy at all. And I had to like, do what you guys are doing probably, which is like sit and be frustrated for a long time before I could hear the difference between major chord and minor chord and the inversions, like really. But for Haruka, it was like easy. Like, oh yeah, no problem, whatever. And like one day I asked her, I was like, what the hell, like what do they let you eat there in Japan that like you can hear like this? And she was like, it's because when I was a kid, I had a very early class of melodica. That I was learning melodica and teacher was playing something and we like did it by ear. And I was like, wow, super interesting, melodica for kids, this is really cool. And like 10 years later, I was sitting in Mauna with Tsuf, who graduated, who was like trying to start the conservatorion here in Mitzpe Ramon. Wow. And she was saying, we have a serious problem. Parents are never going to be willing to buy instrument for their kids. They will never spend the money to buy instrument, and even a violin costs a lot of money for parents and they will never buy it. So I'm like, okay, we have no choice. We have to make the kids genius enough that the parents will eventually buy an instrument. So I told her, okay, let's buy 50 melodicas and give to the kids for free and have like group melodica lesson, which is really cheap. And that way, in 5 years, we will have all these kids that have really good ear. And I took the idea from like what Haruka told me about this thing. And hopefully, in 5 years, 4, 3 now, we will see the results of this. Yeah.
Gucci has something to say. It doesn't have to be color. It doesn't have it can be color.
It doesn't have to be language. It can be also color and smell. 味覚なんだっけ
Taste.
Taste. For example, I feel not like color. ね、音が結構色に見えます。
He see the music as like the color, like he can like it's like the visible thing for him. That's what he's saying.
When everyone play free improvisation, someone plays note of A. I see this note red 赤。そんななんだ最後のちょっとなんかねそれぞれのだからそのセンスっていうのがあってそれをすごい大事にして音楽を見たらいいんじゃないかって言いたいんだけど。
Me?
Yeah.
Translation?
Yeah.
Okay. それぞれのカラーを大事にして。
それぞれの感覚を
ね。それぞれっていうのは相手のってことかな。
その人ミュージシャン。
See, even like it's difficult for the Japanese people to understand like when speak Japanese.
Because Japanese can be sometimes like really high language, you know.
Philosophical.
Yeah, and like and he got like the really like the deep like philosophical thing going on. So like it's really
respect him.
Yeah, it's really hard to explain sometimes. But like he's saying like it's very important to see like the sense. Of yourself or
heart.
Okay. なんて言ったらいいかね。自分のセンスを。
そう、確かに言葉もあるけど、他の手段もあって、他の手段がいいんだったらそっちを。
So the language is like one of the communication tool, but however like there is like a lot of option, except for language, like the to communicate. It can be like anything, and then あとなんだ。Okay, that's what he want to say.
Thank you.
If you open the radio in Japan and you hear people talking, you hear like one guy saying a sentence and everybody else like. And when you open the radio in Israel, you see one guy starting and
the other guy interrupts him.
He doesn't finish the sentence.
He doesn't finish the sentence.
It's amazing. Anyway.
I like both ways though.
Yeah,
but like before, are we going to finish?
5 minutes.
Okay, I think like before we are going to finish it, like when we played together like, for the very first time, we couldn't speak English. But like I think I told like some of the students from ensemble class. But like on that time, like when we met first time, like 13 years ago or so, he already had this vision of making internal compass here in Miss Paramount. Can you guys believe it? It's crazy, right? And like it happens eventually, and like we actually learned that like it's going to take time, and like we need to be like really patient if you want to have like something you really want. So like I think it's very nice to have like the idea, even if like it's like something like really like dreamy, like I want to have the concert hall in the Negev, for example. And I want to be an owner of the concert hall, for example. I
like this vision. Do it.
Right?
We will call it the Yabuno concert hall.
Yep. In the Negev,
In the Negev,
yeah. So like, and like he gave me this comment, like when we were like discussing about something, he said like so like Yamaha, for example, they started selling the piano like 100 years ago. And there is like this guy whose name is Yamaha, some random guy, man. Like, just like, start have this idea of like selling the piano. And like probably everybody thought like, this is like a strange guy, And like this is like the freaking big, like the one of the biggest piano company in the universe.
But when is the part that he decided he will also sell motorcycles?
Those haven't done shut up. He said it was his cousin.
Yeah. So, since we started like this Internet Compass, program happening, I want you guys to have same thing. Not only teacher. It's not like the teacher and students thing. Like teacher gives students something. You know what I'm saying? It's like the really big community, as Nori said.
Yeah.
So like, it's like one person can do something. One person open the program. And like, there's like a bunch of people here. And like, if one person start to think about like, this crazy idea, it's going to make the bigger community. Make sense? So, have one. 2.
2 minutes, she says.
Oh, okay.
Last question. We have time for last question?
Hey, guys.
It's a short one.
I just wanted to know what is like a traditionally popular genre of music in Japan, in the Japanese culture.
Now?
No.
Well, not really now. Now I think I know what it is. Pop,
Okay.
Yeah.
BTS, like something.
There's no any.
Unless it's not a pop or something, then yes,
Can I
no.
refuse to say? Can I refuse to say? Because like that's the genre that I don't really like.
What? Traditional?
No,
He said not
no,
one.
nowadays.
Not traditional,
like
something that
Not the pop.
Yeah, he said
not the
not
pop
the
of
pop.
now.
Like,
not the pop.
Okay.
Like
Okay. Then, what can it be? Yeah, like Japanese traditional enka. It's like singing.
we listened to it when we were in Japan.
Yeah. Find it like type enka on the YouTube, then you find it.
Enka?
Enka.
Enka. Okay.
And it's actually like really interesting because like this like enka has like this thing we call kobushi, which is like
Different kind of vibrato.
vibrato, and like this sounds like this sound, we have it like when they are singing, and like it kind of like we have like this kind of like, how do I say, like the essence or like the taste, and like Israel have like the your own voice, I felt. For example, like when we are like in the group lesson, I heard like some students are like actually like tweaking the melody in like it's not like written, but like it really like sounded like nice, but like in like really like Israeli melodic way. So,
But I think you can find something traditional because we are Japanese, so we sometimes we can't so 隠れる見えない
invisible?
Yes, invisible. So about our country. So come on.
Come to Japan. Come to Japan or come to us and then ask.
Yeah, no, I went to so many countries, and so rare is is only there,
Yeah, reality is there.
Yeah, I think.
Maybe can you tell us about Kentaro Nakayama's Japan there? How it looks like?
How it looks like?
Is now.
I mean, like we just launched, and I mean, like I've been having this like the idea of like, okay, so I would open the Internet Compass here in Israel, like it was 7 years ago, and like we had the meeting in Jerusalem, and like I started think like, okay, I need to find somebody like who is like really good for this community. So like I started to play in Japan because like I went back to Japan like 7 years ago, like when I married and like when I had kid. So like I kind of like stopped playing for a while because I need to take care of my kid. And so like slowly I kind of like being involved with the Japanese music scene, and I was looking for like somebody who is like really like having like the same mentality or like philosophy or like same point of view in terms of music, and like also like being a part of society. So like I found this like Team Japan. It took me a while to find like somebody really good, you know, like really like sharing the, you know, heart and everything. So like I want to have like, you know, if I launch like the, you know, if I find like the place like this in Japan, and like if I start from the scratch now, probably like in 7 years, we're going to have like the, you know, all Japanese students like this, hopefully, right? No?
We can make a student exchange.
Yeah, would be great. In that way, probably there is gonna be like the, you know, musician who is like Eud and Haruka playing forever together, you know? I want you guys to find like, you know, somebody like who you can really call, you know, your buddy, you know. I can call him like, you know, my buddy. So this is like, you know, one of my goal to, you know, for you guys to be able to find somebody you can really trust musically and as a, you know, person. This is my answer. Thanks.
Amazing. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Thank you. Very much.
רדיו מצפן הפנימי